Maya Chen stepped off the transport shuttle onto Station Harmony's main deck, her single duffel bag slung over her shoulder. The artificial gravity felt lighter than what she was used to, making each step feel like a small bounce. Around her, dozens of different species moved through the busy terminal. Tall, blue-skinned Zentari with their flowing robes, the insect-like Cricks clicking their mandibles in conversation, and several others she couldn't identify yet. She had studied the station's layout during the 3-week journey, but seeing it in person was different. The ceiling arched high above, made of transparent aluminum that showed the swirling colors of the nearby nebula. Shops and restaurants lined the walkways, their signs written in multiple languages she was still learning to read. "First time on Harmony?" asked a voice behind her. Maya turned to see a Zentari female approaching, her skin a soft lavender shade and her eyes kind. She wore the simple uniform of station services. "Yes, it is," Maya replied, adjusting her grip on the duffel bag. "I'm looking for temporary housing registration. You're human, right? We don't see many of your species out here." The Zentari's voice held curiosity, not judgment. "I'm Zara. I work in newcomer services. Follow me. I'll get you sorted out." As they walked through the station corridors, Maya couldn't help but stare at everything around her. She had never seen so many different species in one place, all moving together peacefully. Children of various races ran past, playing some kind of tag game that seemed to transcend species barriers. Market vendors called out their wares in multiple languages, and the air smelled of spices and foods she had never encountered before. "The station has about 50,000 residents," Zara explained as they took a lift to the residential level. "We're one of the major trading hubs in this sector, so we get visitors from all over the galaxy. It's a good place for someone looking to start fresh." Maya nodded, though she wondered what had given away her intention to start over. Maybe it was obvious from how little she carried, or the way her eyes took in everything with the careful attention of someone who had learned to always watch her surroundings. The temporary housing office was efficient but crowded. Maya waited in line behind a family of what looked like cat people, their fur ranging from orange to deep black, all of them chattering in a language that sounded like musical chirping. When her turn came, the clerk, a human man who looked to be in his 50s, smiled warmly at her. "Another human. That's rare. I'm David Martinez. Been running this office for about 8 years now." He pulled up a holographic display and began typing. "Looking for temporary or permanent housing?" "Temporary for now," Maya said. "I'm hoping to find work and see if this place suits me." "Smart approach. What kind of work are you looking for?" Maya hesitated. The skills she was best at weren't exactly the kind you put on a standard resume. General labor? Maybe security work. "I'm not picky." David's fingers moved across the display. "Security's always needed here. Peaceful station. But with this much trade, we need people to keep things running smoothly. I can put you in touch with Chief Gromok. He's a break. Tough as they come, but fair. Runs station security." "That would be helpful. Thank you. Your temporary quarters are in Section C, Level 15. It's a small unit, but it has everything you need. Station credit account has been set up with a basic allowance for 2 weeks that should give you time to find work." He handed her a small device. "This is your station pass. Don't lose it." Maya took the device, surprised by the warmth in the human man's voice. "Thank you. You've been very helpful. We humans have to stick together out here," David said with a wink. "Though, you'll find most folks on Harmony are good people, regardless of species. That's why many of us came here." The temporary quarters were small, but clean. A bed, a desk, a food preparation unit, and a small bathroom. A window looked out onto one of the station's inner courtyards, where she could see people, beings, of all kinds, going about their daily lives. Maya set her duffel bag on the bed and sat beside it, taking a moment to process where she was. 6 months ago, she would never have imagined sitting on a space station surrounded by aliens, planning a new life. 6 months ago, She had been dodging artillery fire and wondering if she would live to see another sunrise. The contrast was so sharp, it made her feel dizzy. A soft chime from her door interrupted her thoughts. When she opened it, she found Zara standing there with a steaming cup in her hands. "I thought you might like some welcome tea," the Zentari said. "It's a station tradition for newcomers." Maya accepted the cup gratefully. The liquid was warm and had a sweet, floral taste, unlike anything she had ever tried. "This is wonderful. Thank you. Mind if I come in for a moment? I like to check on newcomers. Make sure they're settling in okay." Maya stepped aside to let her enter. Zara looked around the small space and nodded approvingly. "Not much, but it's a good start." "You seem careful," Zara observed, settling into the single chair while Maya sat on the bed. "That's not a bad thing out here. But Harmony is genuinely safe. You can relax a bit." "I'm still adjusting," Maya said, which was true enough. "It's very different from what I'm used to." "Where did you come from, if you don't mind me asking?" Maya sipped her tea, buying time to think. "A human colony world. Things were complicated there." Zara nodded understandingly. "Colony worlds can be rough, especially the newer ones. I came here from the Zentari homeworld myself, about 10 years ago. Sometimes a fresh start is exactly what we need." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the activity in the courtyard below. Maya found herself relaxing, despite her instincts telling her to stay alert. There was something about Zara's presence that felt genuinely peaceful. "I should let you get settled," Zara said eventually, standing up. "But I'd like to invite you to something tomorrow evening. There's a weekly gathering at the Stellar Lounge, just a casual get-together for people who want to meet others, share stories, play games. Nothing fancy, but it's a good way to make friends." Maya almost said no automatically. Friends meant questions, and questions meant explanations she wasn't ready to give. But something in Zara's expression made her reconsider. "What kind of gathering?" "Oh, just informal. Maybe 20 or 30 people from different species. We play strategy games, share food from our home worlds, tell stories. Some folks play music. It's nice." Zara paused at the door. "You don't have to stay long if you don't like it, but I think you might enjoy meeting some people." After Zara left, Maya finished her tea and unpacked her few belongings. Everything she owned now fit in one small bag: a few changes of clothes, basic toiletries, and a small metal box she placed carefully in the desk drawer. She didn't open the box, but her fingers traced its edges for a moment before she closed the drawer. The next morning, she reported to the security office to meet Chief Gromach. The Brake stood nearly 8 feet tall, with grayish skin that looked like it could deflect bullets and arms as thick as Maya's torso. His species was known throughout the galaxy for their strength and honor, and Maya had heard they made excellent warriors. "So, you want security work?" Gromach said, his voice like grinding stone. His office was Spartanly furnished but organized with military precision. "David says you're looking for something to do with your hands." "Yes, sir. I'm willing to work hard." "Experience?" "Some." Maya kept her answer vague, but something in her posture must have communicated more than her words. Gromach studied her for a long moment. His dark eyes seemed to see more than she was comfortable with. "You move like someone who knows how to fight." It wasn't a question, so Maya didn't answer. "We need someone for evening patrol in the commercial district," Gromach continued. "Not much happens, but we need someone who can handle themselves if something does come up. Mostly, you'll be helping lost tourists and making sure the shops close up properly." "That sounds perfect. One thing." Gromach leaned forward, his massive hands flat on the desk. "This is a peaceful station. We keep it that way by being smart, not by being violent. Can you handle that?" Maya met his gaze steadily. "I prefer peaceful, sir." "Good. You start tonight. Report here at 1,800 hours for briefing and equipment." The rest of the day passed slowly. Maya explored the station, familiarizing herself with the layout, and getting a feel for the rhythm of daily life. She bought some basic supplies with her station credits and ate her first meal at a small restaurant run by a species she didn't recognize. They looked like walking flowers, and their food was surprisingly good. As evening approached, she found herself thinking about Zara's invitation. The smart thing would be to go back to her quarters after her first shift and keep to herself. Making friends meant complications, and she had come here specifically to avoid complications. But when she reported for duty and received her security uniform and equipment, Maya found herself asking Gromok about the Stellar Lounge. "Ah, you met Zara," the big Brack said with what might have been a smile. "She mentioned a new human. The weekly gathering is good. I go sometimes myself." "You do? Surprising, I know." Big, scary Brack at social gathering. This time, it was definitely a smile. People are people, regardless of species. Some are good, some are bad. Most are in between. The ones who come to Zara's gathering tend to be the good ones. Maya's first patrol shift was exactly what Gromok had promised. Quiet and routine. She walked the commercial district, checked in with shop owners as they closed, helped a lost family of traders find their way back to their ship, and assisted an elderly Zentari who had dropped his groceries. By the end of the shift, she felt more relaxed than she had in months. As she walked back toward the residential section, she passed the Stellar Lounge. Through the large windows, she could see a diverse group of beings sitting around tables, talking and laughing. Zara was there, engaged in animated conversation with a human male and what looked like a crystalline being that sparkled in the lounge's soft light. Maya paused at the window, watching. It looked so normal, so peaceful, so unlike anything she had experienced in years. Tomorrow, she decided. Tomorrow she would try accepting Zara's friendship and see what happened. For the first time since arriving on the station, Maya Chen smiled genuinely as she walked back to her temporary quarters, already planning what she might say when she introduced herself to new people who knew nothing about where she had come from or what she had done to survive. The Stellar Lounge was warmer and more welcoming than Maya had expected. Soft lighting came from bioluminescent plants that grew in corners and along the walls, casting everything in a gentle blue-green glow. The furniture was mismatched but comfortable, clearly chosen for function over appearance. As she entered, several conversations paused, and friendly faces turned toward her. "Maya!" Zara appeared at her side immediately, taking her arm in the casual way Maya was still getting used to. "I'm so glad you came. Come meet everyone." The introductions were a whirlwind of names and species Maya tried to memorize. There was Keth, a human engineer who had been working on the station for 5 years. Dr. Silara, a Zentari medical officer with silver-blue skin, who spoke with a slight accent that made everything sound musical. Jin, a young Crix whose carapace was polished to a deep green shine, worked in communications. A crystalline being named Vex, who turned out to be the station's lead botanist, their voice creating harmonic resonances when they spoke. "We were just starting a strategy game," explained Marcus, another human who worked in cargo management. "It's called Stellar Conquest. Think chess, but with multiple players and constantly changing rules." Maya watched around first, learning the game mechanics while observing the group dynamics. They teased each other gently, shared snacks from their various homeworlds, and treated winning and losing with equal good humor. When Jin made a particularly clever move that surprised everyone, the table erupted in appreciative clicks, chirps, and laughter. "Your turn," Dr. Silara said to Maya. "Don't worry about strategy too much your first time. It's more about having fun." Maya joined the next round, finding herself genuinely enjoying the challenge. The game required thinking several moves ahead while adapting to changing conditions, skills that translated surprisingly well from other contexts. When she made an unexpected play that cornered 2 other players simultaneously, the table went quiet for a moment. "Where did you learn to think like that?" Keth asked, genuine admiration in his voice. Maya felt her shoulders tense automatically. "I don't know. Just seemed Logical. She's got a tactical mind, observed Vex, their crystalline form shifting colors slightly as they spoke. Very impressive. For someone new to the game. The conversation moved on, but Maya noticed Zara watching her with thoughtful eyes. As the evening progressed, she found herself relaxing, despite her instincts. These people weren't probing or demanding. They shared stories freely, asked questions that came from genuine interest rather than suspicion, and seemed to accept her as she was. So what made you choose Harmony? Dr. Solara asked during a break between games. It's not exactly on the main travel routes. I heard it was peaceful, Maya said. That appealed to me. Running from something? This came from Marcus, but his tone was understanding rather than suspicious. Lot of us ended up here because somewhere else wasn't working out. Maya looked around the table. What about all of you? The stories that followed surprised her with their openness. Keth had left Earth after a messy divorce that cost him his job and most of his friends. Dr. Solara had fled political upheaval on her homeworld when her medical research was deemed too controversial. Jin was escaping family pressure to follow a career path they didn't want. Vex had simply wandered until they found a place that felt right. Harmony attracts people looking for second chances, Zara said quietly. That's part of what makes it special. As the evening wound down, Maya found herself walking back with Dr. Solara, who lived in the same residential section. You're very controlled, the Zentari observed as they rode the lift. Very careful with your words. Quote, Is that bad? Not bad, just noticeable. Most people who've lived through significant trauma develop that kind of careful control. Solara's tone was professional, but kind. I've seen it in my medical practice. Maya stiffened. I'm not sure what you mean. Forgive me. Occupational hazard. I notice things about people's health and behavior. Solara paused. I don't mean to pry. I just want you to know that if you ever need someone to talk to, or if you're dealing with anything difficult, my door is open. Over the following weeks, Maya settled into a routine that surprised her with its normalcy. Her security shifts were routine, but satisfying. Chief Gromach gradually gave her more responsibility, and she found herself genuinely caring about the safety and well-being of the station's residents. During the day, she explored different areas of the station, always learning something new about how the diverse community functioned. The weekly gatherings at the Stellar Lounge became the highlight of her schedule. She was getting better at the strategy games and had even won a few rounds. More importantly, she was developing what felt like actual friendships for the first time in years. Keth had started inviting her to lunch occasionally, sharing stories about Earth that made her nostalgic for a home she had never known. Jin taught her some basic phrases in Crick's clicking language, which made other Cricks on the station respond to her with surprised delight. Vex showed her the botanical gardens they maintained, explaining how different plant species from across the galaxy had been adapted to work together in the station's ecosystem. But it was her friendship with Zara that meant the most to her. The Zentari had an easy warmth that made Maya feel safe in a way she had almost forgotten was possible. They often walked together after Maya's evening shifts, talking about everything and nothing. Zara shared stories about her homeworld's culture, her work helping newcomers adjust to station life, and her own journey to find peace. You're different from when you first arrived, Zara observed one evening as they sat in the observation deck, watching ships come and go from the docking bays. Different how? Less tense. You smile more. You actually seem to enjoy being around people. Zara tilted her head in the way Zentari did when they were thinking. It's like you're remembering how to be happy. Maya considered this. It was true. She was happier than she had been in longer than she could remember. The constant vigilance that had kept her alive for so long was slowly ebbing away, replaced by something she barely recognized as contentment. I never expected to fit in anywhere again, Maya admitted. What happened to make you feel that way? The question hung between them. Maya had grown comfortable with the gentle probing of her new friends, but this felt different, more direct. She looked at Zara's kind face and found herself wanting to answer, to share the weight she had been carrying alone for so long. I lived through some difficult times, she said finally. I did things I'm not proud of. I hurt people. In self-defense? The quick response surprised Maya. What makes you say that? The way you carry yourself. The way you watch everyone and everything, even when you're relaxed. The way you flinch sometimes when there are loud noises. Zara's voice was gentle, but certain. You've seen combat. Real combat, not training exercises. Maya felt her chest tighten. I don't want to talk about it. That's okay. You don't have to. Zara reached over and placed a hand on Maya's arm. But you should know that it doesn't change how any of us see you. Whatever you survived, whatever you had to do, you're here now. You're kind to people. You work hard. You make us laugh. That's who you are to us. 3 days later, everything changed. Maya was finishing her evening patrol when she heard shouting from the direction of the cargo bays. She ran toward the sound, her hand instinctively moving to the stun baton on her belt. As she rounded the corner, she saw 3 figures in dark clothing holding a Crix worker at gunpoint while they loaded containers onto a small transport. Station security, Maya called out, drawing her weapon. Step away from the worker. The lead figure turned toward her, and Maya's blood ran cold. She recognized the armor, the weapons, the tactical movement pattern. These weren't common thieves. They were hegemony raiders. The same paramilitary group that had turned her homeworld into a battlefield. Just one guard. The leader called to his companions, in the harsh language Maya knew too well. Deal with her quickly. 2. Deal with her quickly. Maya's mind went blank for a moment, transported back to burning cities and the screams of civilians. Then, training older and deeper than her security work kicked in. She moved without thinking, rolling behind a cargo container as weapons fire sizzled through the air where she had been standing. The Crix worker was crying out in fear and pain. Maya could hear the raiders advancing, their boots heavy on the metal decking. She closed her eyes for a moment, accessing skills she had hoped never to need again. When she moved, it was with a fluidity and precision that would have shocked her friends. She came around the container low and fast, her stun baton connecting with the first raider's knee. As he fell, she twisted away from the second raider's grab, using his momentum to send him crashing into a wall. The third raider, the leader, brought his weapon around toward her. But Maya was already moving. She caught his wrist, applied pressure to a specific nerve cluster, and watched his weapon clatter to the ground. The entire engagement lasted less than 30 seconds. Maya stood among the 3 unconscious raiders, breathing hard. Her hands were shaking now that the immediate danger had passed. The Crix worker was staring at her with wide, compound eyes. Are you injured? Maya asked, forcing her voice to remain steady. No, thank you. I thought they would kill me. The worker's voice was high and frightened. How did you? Who are you? Before Maya could answer, the sound of running feet announced the arrival of Chief Gromach and 2 other security officers. They took in the scene with professional eyes. 3 unconscious raiders, 1 frightened worker, and Maya standing in the middle of it all, still holding her stun baton. Report, Gromach commanded. Maya gave a concise account of what had happened, carefully editing out her recognition of the raiders or any mention of her unusual combat skills. But as she spoke, she could see Gromach's eyes narrowing with growing suspicion. These are hegemony raiders, he said after examining the prisoners. Professional soldiers, not local criminals. How does a security guard with some experience take down 3 armed hegemony operatives single-handed? The question Maya had been dreading hung in the air between them. Around the cargo bay, other security personnel and curious onlookers were gathering, drawn by the commotion. She could see familiar faces in the crowd. Keth, Jin, Dr. Solara, and Zara. Her expression a mixture of concern and growing understanding. I got lucky, Maya said, but even to her own ears it sounded unconvincing. Chief Gromach stepped closer, his massive form looming over her. When he spoke, his voice was quiet, but carried clearly in the sudden silence. Maya Chen, who exactly are you? The security briefing room had never felt smaller to Maya. She sat at the metal table, hands folded in her lap, while Chief Gromok paced behind her. The 3 hegemony raiders were in holding cells, and their ship had been impounded. Word of the incident was spreading through the station faster than she could have imagined. The raiders are talking, Gromok said, his gravelly voice filling the silence. They came here following reports of a human matching your description. Specifically, a human who had caused them significant problems on Kepler 438b. Maya closed her eyes. She had hoped her past would never catch up to her here. In this peaceful place she had started to think of as home. Kepler 438b was evacuated 8 months ago after the hegemony moved in. Gromok continued. Officially, it was a complete takeover. No resistance, no casualties. But these raiders tell a different story. They talk about a human who organized the resistance, who taught civilians to fight back, who single-handedly held a checkpoint for 3 days while transports evacuated children. Maya's throat felt tight. She could still smell the smoke, still hear the crying. They call you the ghost of Kepler 438, Gromok said, coming around to face her. They say you killed 47 of their soldiers and destroyed 6 of their gunships before disappearing into the evacuation transports. It wasn't like that, Maya said quietly. Then tell me what it was like. Maya looked up at the big break. His expression wasn't angry or accusatory. It was patient, waiting for her to trust him with the truth. I was a colonial defense instructor, she began, her voice barely above a whisper. Basic training, emergency preparedness, that sort of thing. When the hegemony came, the colonial government collapsed in the first week. Someone had to organize the evacuation. And you did more than just organize. Maya nodded slowly. I taught people to fight. Civilians, shopkeepers, teachers, children barely old enough to hold weapons. I showed them how to set traps, how to move without being seen, how to buy time for others to escape. And the checkpoint? The memories crashed over her like a wave. 3 days of constant fighting, no sleep, watching good people die to give others a chance to live. The taste of recycled air in damaged armor. The weight of weapons she had hoped never to use again. The faces of the people she couldn't save. We were covering the last evacuation transport, Maya said. 300 civilians. Mostly families with children. The hegemony sent everything they had to stop that ship from launching. We held them off until the transport cleared the atmosphere. At the end, it was just me. Maya's hands were trembling now. Everyone else was gone. I should have died there too. Gromok was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was gentler than she had ever heard it. But you didn't die. You saved 300 people and made it to the evacuation ship yourself. Then you came here, looking for peace. Looking to hide, Maya corrected. I never wanted to fight again. I never wanted to hurt anyone again. I just wanted to be normal. To have friends. To pretend I was someone else. And now? Before Maya could answer, the briefing room door chimed. Dr. Silara entered, followed by Zara, Keth, Jin, and several other friends from the Stellar Lounge gatherings. They looked worried but determined. Chief Gromok, Dr. Silara said formally. We request permission to speak with Maya. This is a security matter, Gromok replied, but not unkindly. And she's our friend, Zara said firmly. Whatever she's done, whatever she's running from, we want to hear it from her. Gromok looked at Maya questioningly. She nodded, not trusting her voice. Her friends arranged themselves around the table. Up close, Maya could see the concern in their faces, but also something else. Determination. They weren't here to abandon her. We know who you are, Jin said, their carapace colors shifting to show emotional support. Word travels fast on a station this size. The ghost of Kepler. 4, 3, 8. Maya flinched at the name. That's not who I want to be anymore. Then don't be, Keth said simply. Be Maya Chen, security officer. Terrible at strategy games. friend to a bunch of misfits on Harmony Station. You don't understand, Maya said, frustration creeping into her voice. I've killed people. 47 soldiers, maybe more. I turned ordinary people into weapons. I led children into combat. I'm not the person you think I am. Dr. Solara leaned forward. Maya, I've read the reports from Kepler 438. The hegemony was conducting systematic elimination of the civilian population. Their plan was to kill everyone and claim the planet's resources. Without your resistance, those 300 people would have died along with everyone else who couldn't escape. But I enjoyed it, Maya whispered, the confession tearing out of her. During the fighting, part of me enjoyed it. I was good at it. And I liked being good at something that mattered. What kind of person does that make me? Zara reached across the table and took Maya's hands. It makes you human. The simple words hit Maya harder than any accusation could have. She looked around the table at her friends. Beings. From different worlds. Different species. Different backgrounds. And saw acceptance in their faces. On my homeworld, Zara continued. We have a saying. The sword that protects becomes beautiful in the hand that wields it with love. You didn't fight because you wanted to hurt people. You fought because you loved the people you were protecting. The hegemony is afraid of humans, Vex observed, their crystalline form pulsing with soft light. Not because you're stronger or faster than other species, but because you don't give up. When everything is lost, when surrender is the logical choice, humans keep fighting. It's not just about fighting, added Marcus. It's about hope. You gave 300 people hope when they had none. You showed them that someone cared enough to stand between them and death. Chief Gromok, who had been listening silently, finally spoke. The hegemony raiders weren't just here to kidnap a Crix worker. They were here to find you. This won't be the last time they come looking. Maya felt her heart sink. Then I should leave. I've put everyone here in danger. Just by being here. Absolutely not, Gromok said firmly. Harmony Station doesn't abandon its people. And you've proven you're one of our people. But the danger will be managed, Doctor. Solara interrupted. This station has resources, allies, and defensive capabilities. More importantly, it has people willing to stand up for what's right. Over the next few days, Maya watched in amazement as her adopted community rallied around her. Chief Gromok increased security protocols and reached out to allied forces about the hegemony threat. Dr. Solara organized counseling sessions for residents who were worried about the situation. The station council held an emergency session and unanimously voted to offer Maya full citizenship and protection. But it was the personal gestures that meant the most. Keth brought her favorite earth foods he had tracked down from a merchant ship. Jin taught her advanced Crix combat techniques that complemented her human training. Vex created a small garden outside her quarters with plants that reminded her of home. Zara was the one who made the suggestion that changed everything. You know, she said, as they sat in Maya's quarters, sharing tea and watching the nebula through the window. The station could use someone to teach self-defense classes. Not military training, just basic safety skills for civilians. Maya looked at her friend. You want me to teach people to fight? I want you to teach people to protect themselves and others. There's a difference. Zara's expression was serious. What you did on Kepler 438 was extraordinary, but it was also necessary. Here, you could help people be prepared, without hoping they'll never need to use what you teach them. I don't know if I can do that without becoming that person again. Then we'll make sure you don't have to do it alone. I'll help. So will Dr. Solara and Gromok and all your friends. You don't have to carry this burden by yourself anymore. The first self-defense class was small, just a dozen volunteers from different departments. Maya was nervous as she demonstrated basic techniques for escaping grabs and identifying dangerous situations. But as she watched her students practice, she felt something she hadn't experienced since Kepler 438. Purpose. These people weren't learning to kill. They were learning to survive, to protect themselves and others, to have confidence in dangerous situations. Maya found herself thinking of the teachers and shopkeepers she had trained on Kepler 438. But this time, there was no desperation, no countdown to evacuation. This was about preparation, not survival. After the class, a young human woman approached her. "Thank you," she said simply. "My sister was on Kepler 438. She was one of the people on that last transport." Maya felt tears sting her eyes. "What's her name?" "Sarah Chen." "She said the ghost of Kepler 438 saved her life. She said to tell you that she became a teacher because of what she learned about hope from watching you fight." That evening, Maya found herself back at the Stellar Lounge with her friends. The weekly gathering had become even more important to her since the incident with the raiders. These people knew who she was now, knew what she had done, and they still welcomed her. "I've been thinking," Maya said during a break in their strategy game, "about names and identity." "Oh?" Zara looked up from her cards. "The ghost of Kepler 438 was someone I had to be for a while. She did terrible, necessary things to save people she loved, but she's not who I am anymore." Maya looked around the table at her friends. "I'm Maya Chen, security officer, terrible at strategy games, friend to a bunch of misfits on Harmony Station, and I'm okay with that." Keth grinned. "Does this mean you're staying? If you'll have me." The response was immediate and unanimous. A chorus of voices in multiple languages all saying the same thing. Yes, of course, always. 6 months later, Maya's self-defense classes had expanded to include 3 different skill levels and specialized sessions for various species' physical capabilities. She had been promoted to Assistant Chief of Security, working closely with Gromok to keep the station safe. The hegemony had made 2 more attempts to infiltrate the station, but they had been stopped by improved security measures and a population that knew how to watch out for each other. Maya still had nightmares sometimes, still flinched at loud noises, still carried the weight of what she had done and seen, but she also had friends who understood, work that mattered, and a future she was helping to build, rather than just survive. The ghost of Kepler 438 had saved 300 people and then disappeared. Maya Chen was building a life where such ghosts weren't needed, where ordinary people could live in peace while still being prepared to protect what mattered to them. As she walked through the station's corridors each evening after her shift, Maya reflected on what she had learned about friendship, forgiveness, and the different kinds of strength. She had come to Harmony Station seeking simple friendship and had found something much more valuable. A place where she could be both who she had been and who she wanted to become. The human capacity for hope and resilience had saved her once on a burning world. Now it was helping her build something new among the stars, one friendship at a time.